Welcome back to another episode of Money with Ben, where you can learn to manage your money with confidence. My name is Ben, and today we're going to be talking about effectiveness. How effective is your company at generating revenue? And the reason I want to talk about this particular subject is because when you are an investor, your goal is to find investments that make you the most amount of money using the least amount of investment. Say, for example, you're an investor and you come to me and you say, I want you to find me an investment that's gonna make $1 million. And so I look around and I find two investments. One investment costs $10 million and the other investment costs $10. Now, both of them will generate $1 million for you at the exact same time. Which one do you think the investor is going to go for? He's going to go for the one that's $10, because if you can get an asset that's $10 and it can generate $1 million, that's way better than spending $10 million to only get $1 million. So the way to measure how effective your investment or your asset is, or in this case your business is, in generating money, we want to see how good is it in managing its assets so that way it can generate that revenue. And there's a special formula that we can use to calculate the effectiveness of a company or of a particular stock or organization. And this ratio is simply the asset turnover ratio. Or if you want to look at the more formulaic term, it's sales divided by total assets. Now, if you want a more accurate number of what this should be, it should be sales divided by average total assets. So you will look at two assets within 2 points in time and find the middle point. But for the sake of this video and just for the ease of calculation, I'm going to stick with simply total sales divided by total assets for any given year. And once again, I'm going to be using two companies, Tootsie Roll and Hershey, in order to explain this fact, and you'll be able to see which one has better effectiveness in managing its assets so that way it can generate the revenue. Because there's no point in having all of these assets. It can make your company look big. It can make all the gigantic grandeur of the company seem impressive. It can make it seem like, oh, you have all these gigantic assets, you must be a millionaire, you must be having a whole bunch of money. But there's no point in having all these grand assets if you're not going to be able to generate money with them. That's the whole point. So if we're looking at Tootsie Roll first, Tootsie Roll, if we look at their balance sheet and their income statement, they have it in denominations of thousands, but I will translate accordingly. So sales, as they show in the end of December of 2023, they had a total sales of what they say 769,365. So if you multiply that by 1,000, they really made $769,365,000. So roughly $770 million in sales. So that's the first part, that's the numerator. We need to find the denominator. So the denominator, total assets, at the end of December 31st, 2023, they had $1,084 million in assets. Of course, they subtracted the first 1,000, but $1,084 million in assets. All right. So you take the $770 million in sales divided by the $1,084 million in assets, you get 71% if you round it to the nearest whole percentage. 71%, which means that for every dollar that they have in assets, they are generating almost 3/4, but it's 71 cents. So this shows that it's fairly effective. And what we also want to see in regards to the trend analysis, as we talked about in previous episodes of Money with Ben, we want to make sure that this number, this percentage, keeps growing over time. Now, I was able to take a look at the past 6 years, so from 2018 all the way to 2023. The good news is this effectiveness is actually growing. So for example, in 2020, their effectiveness was only 48%. which means for every dollar they had in assets, it can only generate 48 cents in sales. But then it jumped up in 2021 to 56%, then to 67%, then to 71%. So you can see it's learning how to get a bigger bang for their buck for every single asset that they have every single year. And that's what we want to see in a company. Are they managing their assets well? It's basically a sign of management, because there's no point, once again I said, there's no point in being big if you're not going to make money with all that big stuff that you have. Now let's take a look at Hershey. If we look at their income statement and their balance sheet, they have $11,165 million in sales. As you can see, that was pretty significant in comparison to Tootsie Roll. And their total assets at the end of 2023 is $11,903 million in assets. Run that formula, sales divided by assets, to get the total asset turnover. That is a percentage of 94%. So we can see here, in comparison, Tootsie Roll, 71%. Hershey, 94%. And you got to remember, both of these are chocolate companies. They roughly make the similar product. They make different candies and goods and stuff like that. But as you can see here, Hershey does an extremely well job in making sure that their assets are generating as much sales as possible. And especially when you compare it to Tootsie Roll. Now, if we're going to use trend analysis over the past 6 years, so starting in 2018, it shows that it actually had some type of decline. It started with 101% in 2018, then down to 98% in 2019, down 89% in 2020, 86% in 2021. So it keeps going lower and lower every single year until it starts picking up in 2022 to 95%, and then back in 2023 to 94%. So it's been kind of at a decline. It's kind of recovering, but even so, their management of their assets shows that they are very effective. So that shows that they have pretty good management. Overall, if we were just investing in these two companies, and the only thing that we could use to determine how good of a company they were was this effectiveness ratio, the total asset turnover, I would probably go for Hershey, because they know how to manage their assets better than Tootsie Roll has. They're able to get a bigger bang for their buck, which is pretty impressive. So if you're looking at some investments, like if you're looking at a good stock, and remember, these financial statements that are here, they're available to the entire public. In fact, they're available on the company's website. So you do have to search for them, but I'll be sure to put a link in the description for you guys that just want to take a look at how their financial statements look like. But whenever you're looking at an investment, you want to see how good are they in managing their assets. And this is also a lesson for the businesses. If you are running a business, make sure that you have that number as high as you can. Now, once again, remember, this can vary depending on the industry that you have. Like, for example, banks. Banks, they're not going to have a high level of effectiveness, because the way that they make money is by lending out a ton of money and getting that money back in interest payments every single month. So it may not be as effective, but since banks have a large amount of assets, they can handle not being that effective. Compare that to maybe a tech company. A tech company, especially if it doesn't have a lot of buildings, but it's generating a lot of online sales, they can prove to be very effective with their assets because everything is digital. They don't have to worry about physical products or physical locations to limit them in how they manage their assets. So it all fairly depends on the industry that they're in. That's why I wanted to use two industries that were in the same place. But in regards to your industry, no matter what industry you have, you want that number to be as high as you can. If that means finding better systems, if that means finding better methodologies to generate those sales using the assets that you have, this is a sign to show your management skills. So if I were to analyze your company, I would hope to see a number that high. And if you want me to analyze your financial statements, let me know. I'll put my information in the description below. So that way we can see, hey, how are you doing effectively in regards to your company? Is your company managing well? Now, once again, I want to say in regards to any advice that I give here, this is not legal financial advice. Please consult a CPA, such as myself, in regards to seeing how to better manage or how to better analyze your company for yourself. But that's a simple formula that you can use to determine your effectiveness. I'm going to be showing a little bit more ratios to determine how profitable, how productive, how risky your company is. I know we mentioned that in some previous episodes, but activating leverage in a good way. Now you have this ratio, this tool in your arsenal, and I hope you use it. Until next time, this is Money with Ben. My name is Ben, and I'll see you guys next time.